The South African Council of Churches, together with other religious leaders from various member churches, will tomorrow conduct a walk of witness in various communities affected by flooding in KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala yesterday said thousands of residents in the province were displaced and are currently being sheltered in community halls, churches and schools. Now, to talk to us more about the walk, we are joined now by Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. Bishop, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Bishop Mpumlwana, the country is still reeling following this horrific floods. President Ramaphosa, in fact, calling them catastrophic. Let's firstly get your reaction as the church to this particular disaster, and secondly, the aim of this walk.
It's beyond imagination. There's never been anything like this. We know that there's been in the past floods in KwaZulu-Natal, but it has never been at this scale. And therefore, because we also believe that it has a direct impact on not only the emotional mindset of people. I mean, if you think of a home that 10 people have died, in some places 4, 6, that number of people all at once being swept away in a horrific way has got a huge impact, not even to mention the economic realities and the infrastructure and the homes that have been destroyed, to start over, maybe in some cases with only the children left. So it is huge. It is just a monstrosity of an occasion. And so we're sort of cut up by this. But then the advantage in some way that the religious communities have is that every village, every ward, every community has no less than 10 places of worship, which in some way does provide some kind of comfort, messages and support for families at this time. So this call is made by the National Religious Forum, not just the SABC or Christian churches. The National Religious Forum that includes Muslims, Jews, Hindus, and other churches that are outside of the SABC, like Ibandla Nazareth, Washembe, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. All these are working together because we've been doing this throughout the last 2 years, working together against COVID. And so we have extended that extension together to work at what we can do in KZN tomorrow. So the call is not just to visit, but it is also to ask South Africans across the country to soak the people in prayer. Not just KZN, but also the Cape Town people who have been affected by fire and other provinces that are in disaster at this time. Soak the country in prayer at a common time from 2 o'clock to 2:15 tomorrow.
Bishop, you're naming it the walk of witness, and I mean, I want us to perhaps explain to us what this name means. For me, it symbolizes, especially at this crucial time when we've been speaking to officials that are currently conducting rescue missions, recovery missions, and all kinds of aid in the province, telling us about just the psychological trauma of the people of KZN. Of course, it's not only the people of KZN, also the people in the Eastern Cape, and of course South Africans too, who are watching the disaster that is taking place and collectively traumatized.
Yes, the term of the walk of witness actually it's kind of like two-dimensional. First of all, it is a witness to the presence and the love of God as experienced by all our faiths. That's what we're bringing as a witness of that. But also, there are many communities that say that they have not been attended to. There are things that they need that have not been addressed because they are much more removed than others. And so we are also gathering that information and ensuring that there is the right information goes to the right place. In other words, we are bearing witness to the needs of the people wherever they are. So it's a kind of a two-dimensional, a walk of witness in that sense. And I would also like to say that the pain that is experienced is not only in KZN. Obviously, we also take into account what's happening in Cape Town with all those fires, but definitely the scale is very different. So that's why we are physically in KZN rather than physically in Cape Town, even though when we call for a national prayer, we're asking people to pray for all these experiences together. There is no bandage. There is no bandage to give solace to a family that has lost everything and lost so many members of your family. There isn't. And so even the little that we do in that witness is only just limited to pray for the grace that will enable these families to stand up again.
Now, one of the purpose of your trip, according to your statement, Bishop, is that you want to identify areas of advocacy, collaboration and partnership with other stakeholders. Now, what we have seen is, of course, South Africans pouring their hearts out, to give just the little that they can, and also we've seen aid workers also assisting there. So a lot of money is being currently, set aside to make sure that people who are left vulnerable are assisted. But of course, there is this other element, the relaxation of procurement processes can, like we have seen, with the COVID-19 pandemic, create vulnerabilities of corruption. What do you think then needs to be done to ensure transparency and disaster relief funds go to the people that it is intended for?
First of all, I should say that just to be clear, at least the South African Council of Churches, through its KZN chapter, the KwaZulu-Natal Christian Council, right from day one has been there with the communities. That's why we know exactly what's happening at all times. And as much aid as can be given through the churches has been happening. A number of individual denominations, members of the SABC and not those that are members of the SABC, have used their channels and their resources to do the Salvation Army, the Catholic Church, the Methodist Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Grace Bible Church. All of these are members of the SABC, but they've been doing this. What we're doing, and of course the same has been doing the Hindu community, the religious communities have been doing this. What we're doing tomorrow is to just bring a collective presence of people that have already been doing whatever little they can throughout this time. So when we talk about identifying things that need advocacy, we're saying, we've been seeing this, you're seeing this, you're seeing this. Let's come together and give a collective rep, almost like when we are doing election observer mission. We are able to say where the problems are and then can bring those, whether through advocacy with government or with other agencies that we need to work with, for example, those that are providing food meals and so on. As far as corruption is concerned, we are very conscious of that prospect. I want to say that we did, even in the case of COVID, but we didn't think it would really happen, even though we warned about it. That, well, let's just mention it. But we saw it happen on a large scale. Now, I want to say personally as a priest, I personally am saying that I will pray a curse on anyone that can look at the pain of these people and see it as an opportunity for personal gain and their own greed. A curse upon a curse. That's what we are saying as churches.
Absolutely, Bishop, and I can tell you now a lot of South Africans would definitely agree with you on that one. Bishop Mpumlwana, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. And that was
Thank you for having us.
Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. Let's take